Hello, everyone. Welcome to this Inspired Life Soul Chat, the first of many to come, I hope. My name is Patricia Wald-Hopkins, and I am your host. I am an Akashic Wisdom Guide and Inspired Life Coach. I am also a Gene Keys Ambassador and Guide. So that's why I'm weaving in the Gene Keys here today with my special guest, Abigail Mensa Bansu Ulmer, I believe. She has some magic to share with us here today about that Gene Key with the work that she does. So I always feel like Spirit aligns things just perfectly. She is the founder of the Moon Goddess Academy and the Moon Goddess Publishing. She's so many wonderful things, but a multi-dimensional activator of cosmic and goddess energies and so much more. Would you like to say hello, Abigail, and share a little bit about yourself? And then I'm going to do a little Gene Keys activation.
Yes.
And we'll go into that, okay? So, yeah.
I'm excited for the Gene Keys. Hello, everyone. And thank you so much, sister, for having me. I'm so excited. So excited for you.
Yeah, it's always fun, huh?
Yes, it is. Yes,
it's fun to be in this seat as the host, right?
Yes.
And get to hold space for the guest. So yeah, I'm excited to do that for you. Yeah. So Gene Key 45 is called communion, and that's the highest essence of this Gene Key. And we're not really going to tap into that so much today, but I do invite you to check out the Gene Keys at genekeys.com. You can learn a lot more about this soul evolution tool by Richard Rudd. And the gift is what I want to focus on today. There's a shadow, a gift, and a city. But today the gift is, it's called a synergy. It's the gift of synergy. And basically, it's in what is called the ring of prosperity. And it has the ability to unlock vast amounts of resources across the world for the collective, to help give food and resources to everyone rather than just small groups of individuals. And it's about moving away from hierarchical models into what's called the heterarchy. And, so where information moves horizontally rather than it has to go through some kind of chain of command. Well, there's always someone, who's going to be leading and, kind of moving, spearheading things forward, or however you want to say it. But it's a much more efficient system and much more open-hearted system. It's expansive system. And so I felt like, and I know you have your own personal relationship with Gene Key 45 that, you can share about if you like or not, but your book collaborations, which I have, been a part of and love, they fit so much into that model of sharing prosperity with everyone, being the leader, but sharing that energy of prosperity by allowing these collaborations to happen for everyone to bring their work into one book. And it's like this huge synergistic, if you're even in science, you know that there's additive, 1 + 1 is 2, but synergy is it can go exponential. So having given that little introduction to Gene Key 45 and your book collaborations, I'd love to hear what inspires you to do these book collaborations.
Yeah. So before I go into that, because my love for Gene Keys and how I'm still a student, and right now I'm doing the first level. The first level, I think it's the activating how there's the 3. Yeah. So I'm still in the first level. So when you asked me to read 45. I was like, interesting. So I pulled up my chart and I was like, okay, it's my vocation. And then it shows up also as my IQ, which those two would be like the next levels that I'll be going into. So I haven't really spent time with them. But when I read it, I was like, okay, that makes a lot of sense now.
Yeah.
You know, with my, even just with my, my desire to be in community, you know, like, for example, when I'm looking at a program to sign up, this is very interesting because if they have pictures of like women coming together and, you know, group stuff, it pulls me in. And then I read this stuff. You know, I've signed up for programs where I thought it would be like that. And then it's like more individuals, like just me doing my own thing. And I'm like, oh, I fell for it. You know, I fell for the picture. But community definitely something that I crave. And it makes a lot of sense because I was born in a culture that, you know, cultivates that kind of community. You know, like I grew up with my cousins, my uncle, my aunties, like constantly around me. You know, the community is pretty big in my blood. Me creating this, you know, and even in my business, which it was like a switch. Because when you start your business, it's just you, right? It's just you doing your thing. You're like, yeah. But then it gets to a point you're like, I see how big my mission is. I see how big my purpose, my service to humanity is. I don't think I can do this by myself. Yeah. So I think I need to bring people in. I think I need to do this with other people, you know, and I feel like this year, or maybe it started last year, like this really, it started last year. This really sunk in and I begin to, you know, integrate the shifts or to bring through those shifts of creating more community in what I'm doing. And, you know, in the first book, Miraculous, which you were in, it was freaking awesome. Like I loved every bit of it. I was like, oh my gosh, I don't have to do this by myself. And it just felt so good, especially when I saw you guys connect, network and like chat with each other and support each other. Like that was gold, you know? And I was like, I want to create more like this. You know, like even in my other programs, like how can I create a huge network where people can connect with each other? Because it's not about being just you. I mean, we're moving from that age, right? We're moving from that time. So yes, let me go back to the question.
Yeah, no, this is perfect. I want to hear all of that about how you just naturally tuned in, you know, and the gene keys are kind of a high level confirmation of what your soul already knows.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah. And it just deepens it and expands it. Yeah.
Exactly. I'm like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. Okay. Yeah. And I think that's one of the things I love about the gene keys because it is connected to my DNA. You know, it's like, you know how I love DNA activations.
Yes, I do.
So it's like, oh my God.
Yes,
you know, I was like, it's like the DNA transcribed and you are learning who you are through the DNA. I just love that. It's not just like me tuning into something that's outside of my physicality and bringing through the message, right? It really anchors into the body. It allows you to go into your body and embody it and contemplate it and you see it in your body, in your world. Yeah, you can feel it. It is powerful. And I just absolutely love it. Like, I'm just like taking my time, like just chewing it, you know, like
the best way. I call them little spirit vitamins, you know.
Yes.
Little uppers. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, so you're getting this gene key activation right here as we sit. Now, yeah, tell me about the books that you have.
Yes. So after Miraculous came out, I was like, okay, what's next? You know, like I have like 3 pages of book titles that wants to come through, you know, and of course, all of them will be in divine timing. So I was like, okay, what's next? You know, like I would love to create more of this. This is freaking awesome. And the first one that dropped in was Oracle. And Oracle dropped in. She dropped in with all her beauty. And she came in, you know, she's like, women have forgotten who they are. There's a misunderstanding of who the oracle is, and we need to bring it down. We need to bring it down to humanity level. Women need to understand that it is not like a job that you do, like in the past lives where we had to be. But even in that, it was more of a destiny and a purpose. You were born into this lineage. You had these gifts and you lived in these temples. I mean, I love those times. Like it brings me so much joy because those were, I mean, I can't even describe the feeling, like even tapping into it right now, how that felt like to live in those past lives where I lived with my sisters in the temple, and people just come in and, receive the message, and the community took care of us, is very special. Of course, we had our hardships, right? So again, with this activation of this book, all of these past lives, of course, came up to be refreshed, and I was like, oh, so women right now, when you say an oracle, and I can actually see this like in my copy when I'm writing about it or asking, the moment people see oracles, like, no, I'm not an oracle. No, I'm not. And then, you experience that. And then you start, I start talking to them and they start telling me about the gifts, the intuitive gifts, the ability to see past life. I'm like, you're not an oracle? You sure about that? So, it's like the name, something happened where it's like the moment you hear the name, it's like, no, there's nowhere I'm an oracle.
Right. It's an old belief, like an imprint, right? Or kind of erased the accessibility of that word for us. But we're removing that now.
Exactly. Hence why the birth of the book.
Right.
The people, the women, and this book is specifically, I'm just calling in women. It was very clear, and I had one author who's actually going to be in the book of activation. I'll talk about that soon. And he's like, are you sure? Because I can channel something. I was like, I know you would be amazing, but this is just women.
Right.
And, it's like the stories in there is to remind you that being an oracle is who you are. You don't need to put it on a pedestal. You are very intuitive. Therefore, you are an oracle. Like, we need to break down the stigma around oracle. And we need to begin to embrace that I am divine. I am intuitive. I have the ability to, which even takes it to the next level. It's like, do you trust your gifts? Do you trust your soul gifts? Do you embrace your soul gifts? I mean, claiming you're an oracle, that, I know some people call themselves oracles, and, due to the psychics, they channel, but many don't, because they see those who are doing that and they're like, I don't do that. Right. Therefore, I'm not an oracle. And, at least there's this aspect of this book that is coming in, and oh my gosh, there's so much coming through right now. Like,
I love it.
Just download it.
I love it.
The aspect of this book is that not only are you going to read stories about women and how their journey in embracing their intuitive nature, their oracular gifts, right? But as you're reading the stories, you're getting activated as well. You will awaken to your beingness of who you were as an oracle, perhaps in a past life. If you need that in this lifetime, perhaps part of that activation is that you need to trust your intuition more. You need to have faith in your intuition, because we know most of us who have this gift, somewhere down the road, many people told us that we were making things up. Yeah. That we were one of the things I was called is that one of my friends was like, you're like a walk-in library. Like you sound like someone who just read the dictionary and just saying things, like some of the things that came up. Yeah. I don't want to be that, or you are know-it-all, it's like, no, I'm not, but I kind of know.
No, a deep knowing, right?
Yeah.
There's different forms of intuition.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So we get all these lashing that kind of, depending on who you are, might have shut it down, or you hid it and you only share it with certain people. And we've come to a time where we are rebuilding. this life that we're living as a whole, humanity as a whole. And we need to come together. They're the visionaries who are doing their work. They're seeing what the new future is. And they're the builders, right? And oracles, you're being called because you have a part in this, creating this new. Yes.
The designers. Yeah.
Exactly. Thank you. Thank you.
That's why I'm here.
Beautiful, right?
Right.
That is why you're being called. It's not about the name. I really don't care if you don't call yourself an oracle, or you don't put it on your social media or your business card. I don't care. It's about what you're doing with the gift. Humanity needs that gift. We need to design this beautiful future we've been dreaming and praying about for God knows how long.
Bring all those pieces together, and that synergy can happen, right?
Exactly. Exactly. So part of this book, I mean, this levels, it's like the first part is that when you see me, when you read something like me calling in the oracles, there's an activation there. It's like the moment you see what I'm writing, it gets activated within you. And you're like, huh.
Well, I was there like...
Yeah, you were the first. You were the first. You're like, I don't know what it is about this, but I'm in. Right? And then the second step is having the courage to say yes. Because there's a reason why you're being called it to share your experience in the book, to write a chapter in the book. But you have to have the courage to say yes, even if you have no idea what story you're supposed to share or what channeled message is going to come through you, right? That's the whole point. We usually don't know what we're going to channel until we get in the zone, open up, and then what needs to come through will come through, right? So this whole process is like, you get activated, you have to have the courage to say yes, you step in, and in that container, the moment you step in this beautiful container that we are co-created together, right? The messages starts to come through, and you will know exactly what to share in the book.
And I love the way that you hold the containers, because there's a certain alchemy that happens, like that synergy. I just keep coming back to that with you because that's what you do. And so, I mean, I'm still connected to some of the people, that it's like I was meant to be connected to those people in that book. So I really feel like you have a special gift of doing this. I mean, really. So thank you for doing that, for bringing this together to, create these benevolent technologies, these books. That's what they are.
Yeah.
I mean, they really are for the Aquarian age, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Bringing all the little ingredients that we all hold, the wisdoms that we hold to create something larger. So anyhow, now back. Now tell us some more about this book and the other book.
Yes. So the book of activation, actually, let's go back to Oracle. Yes. Oracle is a book of channeled messages from women. So at first, you're going to hear stories about, for example, let's use you because you're in there. You're actually the first one to sign up. You're going to talk about, how you discovered this gift that maybe the challenges that you went through, and how you use it right now in your life. And you can write a little bit about that. And then the rest of your chapter is like, all right, this is the message that wants to come through. Right. And it really doesn't matter the way the container is created for each of the book, or just being in my presence. You will channel the purest essence of what needs to come through, the purest light. No BS is going to come through. Like it is solid. This structure is solid, and purity and light is what is going to come through. So the beginning is like, okay, this is who I am. This is my journey. And then you're like, okay, this is the message that wants to come through to support you. And so then you just let that come through. So it's a book of activations, a book of channeled message and activation. But the book of activation, which is the second book, It is exactly the name. And this came in after Oracle came through. I was like, okay, I'm just going to do the one book for now. Like I'm good. I'll just focus on that. And I kept getting Book of Activation. I was like, well, okay, maybe after I publish Oracle. And I was like, no, both of them need to come through. And I was like, I don't know how am I going to get the energy to do it? I don't know if I can do this, but I trusted, and it does take that courage. So I did. And now it's like, oh, they work together.
They do.
It's kind of like the gene keys with a 45 and 16, how they match. Like I see those, like they're working together. They have
the mastery. The mastery and the versatility, the ability to bring in all different types of talents and gifts, right? To create that synergy is beautiful. And there was one other piece that just popped up as you were speaking about that. Oh no, I think it might come back. It
will.
Yeah, there was a little gem something you said. But yeah, just keep going. It'll come back if it needs to.
The Book of Activations, I'm calling in both men and women who have the ability to activate. So these are the activators, like whether you're doing DNA activation, light language activation, or you use symbols, or you do art. How do you activate humanity? Because you're being called to activate humanity, basically. And, in a book, one of my favorite books is the Sophia Code.
Oh, and what I love,
how powerful this book is, like just touching it, and just putting it next to your bed. It activates you on like one of the things that Kaya Ra said, she's like, just put it in your purse and walk around. And it's so potent. And the Book of Activation is exactly that. Yeah. You have a physical book that has a lot of activation. Like, okay, you can just go into it intuitively. You can read it chapter by chapter, or you can say, okay, which activation do I need right now to help me get to that next level? And intuitively turn to a page, and boom, it might be an activation of divine sovereignty, an activation of radiance. Look, my ears are like ringing right now.
You're calling it in.
I'm totally calling it in. An activation of the divine feminine, an activation of wealth, prosperity, abundance, right? An activation of our bodies higher purpose and wisdom. My ears are like going crazy right now.
I'm seeing all the chapters.
Yes. So this is what you're going to see in this book. And of course, at the beginning of the chapter, you're going to learn about the activators stepping through, when they began doing this, how did they know they were activators? And then they move into the activation itself. What makes these two books incredible? And this is, one thing I want to say is that when you're a publisher, especially with what I do and what my colleagues do, the kind of books that we do, it's not just you come and you throw your story in and you go. It's very potent. It takes you on a journey.
It does.
You've been through it already, and you're going through the second journey.
Right.
So it's a portal. It's an activating portal. And these two books really are challenging. They're like, it needs to be different. People need to experience this differently. And one of the ways that is coming through is that each author will record the activation.
I love that.
So that, like after you read it, you'll be able to click on that author and experience them, seeing them give that activation, which we know is a whole different ballgame. Right. So, so that's one of the ways that these two books will be coming in different. They want to be experienced. Like that experience piece is pretty big. So,
it's that vibration, right? It's the light vibration. I mean, when you read it, it does something to your biochemistry, but when you hear the voice, or you see, like it's a totally different level of activation.
Exactly. And it wants to hit all the levels. So these two books are like pillars being dropped into humanity. But first, I am calling in the co-creators who are meant to share the channeled messages and activations in these two books. You know, perhaps you've seen it and you're like, oh, I'm being drawn, but I don't know. Stop the excuses. Stop the excuses. Like, we're not playing anymore. You know what you're here to do. And if you do not take this step, if you continue making excuses and put in opportunities like this to the back burner, you will never know the kind of impact that you're here to create.
Yeah. Yeah. Everybody's part is needed for that synergy, right? And there's different, what they call, you know, in the Gene Keys, fractals that work together. And so whatever your relationship is, you know, to other people generally hinges on that. And you can use the Gene Keys to kind of get a high level confirmation of that. So that would be fun, wouldn't it, to see the profiles that would come into your books?
I just had a picture of that. I was like, I wonder.
That would be fun. Like, we'll have to revisit that later.
Yeah. Well, Well, you remember I was telling you about these 2 books want to be experienced.
Yeah.
So I'm going to write that down.
Yep. I think there's something important about the Gene Keys transmission here. Supporting these 2 books.
Yes.
Definitely. And I know what it was, and I'll just say it real quickly. So, you know, the Gene Keys came out of human design, right? And so we all have a human design too. And I know, you know, I'm a manifesting generator.
Me too.
And you are too. And so there's a lot of times that trust, like you don't exactly always know how everything is going to fit together, but because of the way we were designed, we just know. And then it just all sort of fits nicely together into these bodies of work. So I just have this sense. Oh, and you have your.
Of course, he pops in.
Of course.
Let me finish real quick, okay? Yeah, go get it. Go get it and bring it.
He's adding his transmission too.
Of course.
Right? Because they're the ones that this is for.
Yes.
Right?
Exactly.
I mean, it's for us, but it's for the future.
It's paving the way for them. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The more activated we are, the parents are, the more we can hold space for these incredible children that are coming through every day. Yeah.
And that was one other thing that I wanted to mention about the book and doing the recording of it. For the person who wrote the chapter, for me, when I did the recording of it, that increased my embodiment of it, which means that when I go out, I'm holding that frequency of that message even more for that container. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Yeah. So it like tunes you even more into the essence of what wants to come through. Oh, I love that. So is there any, I know I have your information in the post, but is there anything else that you would like to share with our audience today about the books or about any of the other wonderful things that you do and who you are?
This one, I wanted to focus more on the books, like the book. But if you are hearing this, or if you see, my little one is ringing the bell back there.
He's like, it's almost
exactly. He knows.
I remember those ages.
Come here. You can come sit on me. What's going on? Oh, I know. Okay. Can you wait for me? Okay.
Just one more minute, and I will let you know.
One more minute. Look, we can count. You want to count? So, if you hear this and you're feeling that draw, it is not a coincidence. You are meant to share your story in these books, either one or both books, if it calls to you. Many of the authors who have joined are actually doing both books. So I wouldn't be surprised if both calls you in. Now that you've heard how their synergy, how they're working together, like it makes a lot of sense. So if you're being called, it's not a coincidence. It is time for you to share your channeled message. It's time for you to share your activations. Mm-hmm. Humanity needs this. Your community needs this. And you never know who on the other side of the world is waiting for your message, is waiting for that activation to just get them to that next phase, get them to that next
yeah.
level. Yeah.
Opening that portal, that space for them to feel safe to share.
Exactly. Exactly. Yes.
Well, this has been really wonderful. Thank you so much for your time, and I can't wait till we can sit down again and talk about the gene keys and
yes, because I want to dive in with you.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you for having me.
No, my pleasure. Honor, my pleasure. And I'll have your information available on the post so people can reach out to you. Have a beautiful, beautiful weekend, everyone. Thank you so much, Abigail.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you to your little one. All right. Bye-bye.